Loss is an unavoidable part of the human experience. But what happens when loss is so profound that it warps our entire identity? This is the tragedy of Al Simmons, the man who would become Spawn. His story is more than just a supernatural revenge tale. It's a raw, psychological exploration of grief, one that mirrors real-world emotional struggles. Today we're diving into the psychological dimensions of loss and grief through the lens of Spawn and what it reveals about the human mind. Welcome to Unmasked. Before we analyze the depths of Spawn's grief, we need to understand where it all began. Al Simmons was a government assassin, a man who believed he was fighting for justice, but betrayal came at the hands of his own government. His superior, Jason Wynn, ordered his execution. Simmons was murdered, burned alive, and sent straight to hell. Consumed by desperation, Simmons made a deal with one of Hell's ruling demons. He would serve as a Hell Spawn in exchange for one chance to see his wife, Wanda, once more. But when he was sent back to Earth, he was no longer the man he once was. His body was transformed into something monstrous, his memories fragmented. And worst of all, Wanda had moved on. She had remarried his best friend Terry and built a life without him. Al Simmons didn't just lose his life, he lost his humanity, his love, his place in the world. This is where his grief truly begins. Psychiatrist Elizabeth Kubler-Ross introduced the 5 stages of grief, a model that can help us understand how people process loss, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. But for Spawn, this process is distorted by his resurrection, preventing him from reaching true acceptance. Denial. Simmons' very existence as Spawn is a form of denial. He refuses to accept that his past life is gone. His first instinct is to return to Wanda, as if everything can be restored. Anger. When reality sets in, Spawn is consumed by rage towards his killers, towards the demon, towards the world. His anger drives him into violent vengeance, an attempt to reclaim a sense of control. Bargaining. Spawn clings to the idea that maybe, just maybe, there's a way back. He even attempts to use his powers to appear as Al Simmons again, but the universe refuses to let him undo what has already been done. Depression. His realization that Wanda had moved on devastates him. He isolates himself in alleyways, haunted by the truth that he's neither alive nor truly dead. He has lost not just Wanda, but himself. Acceptance. Here's where Spawn diverges from the traditional model. He never fully reaches acceptance in a peaceful way. His story is a cycle of reliving grief, with only moments of clarity that are inevitably overshadowed by his pain. Sigmund Freud's theory of mourning and melancholia helps us further understand Spawn's psychological torment. Freud argued that when we lose something or someone deeply tied to our identity, we undergo mourning, a natural process of letting go. But when mourning turns into melancholia, we become stuck, unable to detach from what we lost. Spawn exists in a state of melancholia. His grief doesn't allow him to move forward because his entire being is defined by loss. Unlike normal grieving, which allows us to reshape our identity without the lost person, Spawn's very existence is bound to the fact that he lost Wanda. He cannot let go because if he did, what would be left of him? Imagine losing a limb. The body may heal, but many amputees experience phantom limb syndrome, the sensation that the missing limb is still there. This concept can be applied to grief. When we lose someone so integral to our identity, it's like losing a piece of ourselves. The mind continues to feel their presence, even when they're gone. For Spawn, Wanda is his phantom limb. He's trapped in the illusion that she's still a part of his life, but every attempt to reconnect only reminds him of his incompleteness. The more he tries to hold on, the more painful it becomes. His grief never fades because he is, in many ways, still living within it. Grief changes us. It forces us to confront our deepest vulnerabilities. For some, it leads to personal growth. For others, it leads to destruction. Spawn embodies both. He has moments where his pain gives him purpose, pushing him to fight against injustice. But more often, grief is his chain, keeping him bound to past trauma, unable to embrace any future. This is where Spawn's story resonates so deeply. Unlike many heroes who overcome loss, Spawn is a reminder that grief isn't always something we conquer. Sometimes, it becomes a permanent part of us. Spawn's grief is powerful because it reflects a truth we all face. Some losses never fully heal. His story is one of pain, rage, and an unfulfilled longing that mirrors the deepest parts of our human experience. For those who have suffered great loss, Spawn is not just a comic book character. He's a symbol of what it means to love, to lose, and to live with the echoes of what was. Thank you for watching. If you found this deep dive into Spawn's psychology insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe for more explorations into the minds of your favorite characters. Until next time.